Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a 3-day major severe weather outbreak that I'm taking a look at heading towards this weekend, including Easter. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, yesterday's comment was about if it's okay to have a well-done steak. Today's comment of the day is going to be, is it acceptable to use steak sauce on a steak? I think that's a really interesting one. Now, I'll pick one of those comments for tomorrow's video. Let's get right into this video, though. First things first, we're looking at our Day 4 probability outlook, and this is for Saturday, heading into Saturday night, early Sunday. So we're going to see Texas, a little bit of southern Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana get involved with some of this severe weather on the first day of this severe weather outbreak. So let's go ahead and look at what those temperatures are going to be like, and this is the high temperatures on Saturday, heading into Sunday. And we can see that there's going to be widespread 70s, at least 60s there for a little bit of Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana there as well. But we can see 70s and 80s pretty much for most of those red, pinks, and kind of brown shades there. Now, let's take a look at that humidity as well, and this is going to be our dew points. And we can see 60s and 70s dew points. That is definitely sufficient for severe weather, so that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. So we're about to move on, and we're going to take a look at some of that shear, our instability, and then we're going to take a look at the simulated radar, and then we're going to move on to days 2 and 3, which is going to get very, very interesting, potentially a historic outbreak coming up this weekend. Now for Saturday heading into Sunday, here's that shear. And, you know, it's not going to be too high. We're going to have those pink colors, which is about 45 to 70 knots. So I think that there is some tornado potential, but nothing near the same amount that we're probably going to have on Sunday and then also Monday. Let's go ahead and move on. And here's our cape. Sorry, I almost said shear. Now, our cape is something I've been trying to teach you guys about over the past few weeks. So hopefully a lot of you already know a lot about shear, but really we're looking for those 1,000 plus amounts, and in the greens, anywhere in the greens, yellows, reds, and purples, we're 1,000 plus. Now in the oranges and reds and purples, that's where we're like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 cape, so definitely enough cape, and cape stands for convective available potential energy, and really it's just humidity and the temperature combined, and then also they take into account different heights of the atmosphere. It's a very complex thing if you had to look at it manually, but being able to have just one map with one value makes it a lot easier for just the average weather enthusiast. So we're about to move on, and we're going to take a look at that simulated radar for Saturday heading into Sunday, and then we're going to move on to day 2. Okay, now first things first, here's at about, I think this is about 8 a.m. on Saturday, and you can see there will be some thunderstorms to start the day for central and maybe even western Texas. It's as we head towards about 2 a.m. on Sunday, which again, it still counts as day 4. They go 12Z to 12Z. This is going to be 6Z, which is the early AM hours on Sunday. You can see that we are going to have some more thunderstorms there for portions of Texas developing, and those are going to generally head eastward towards Louisiana. And then they're going to kind of fizzle out as we get really low temperatures overnight, obviously. But we could be dealing with some very major overnight thunderstorms. Hail, tornadoes going to be possible, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if this definitely comes into fruition, I'm definitely going to be updating you guys on these, so don't worry. I will be making some update videos on this, and also I might be going live some of these days as well. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at day 2. We are going to have a chance for severe weather for extreme eastern Texas, southern Arkansas, all of Louisiana, and then the southern 3/4, if not more, of Mississippi, Alabama, and then also Georgia. Now, this looks to be the most severe day. Here's your high temperatures. We're going to have generally 70s and 80s everywhere that it needs to be. It's the upper 60s for the northern regions of some of these states. So I think the southern and central regions of a lot of these deep south states are going to be the more severe regions during these days. Also, our dew points well above 60 here for all of these regions, with the exception of maybe northern Georgia. But really, we're not looking at too much severe weather there as of right now. And then we have 70s for the southern regions of the deep south states as well. So definitely sufficient for severe weather development, in my opinion. And then here's that shear. Guys, this is very high shear. We have 80 to 100 knot winds as far as shear. that's very, very sufficient for tornado activity. And you can see this is at about 8 p.m. on Sunday. This is going to be mostly having the highest amounts of shear near Louisiana and Mississippi at this point. But as we move on towards about 2 a.m., you can see that moves mostly into Alabama and Georgia. This is going to be very high shear and definitely going to lead to good chance for tornado development. Now, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to move on and we're going to take a look at that instability, the Cape once again, and then we'll look at the simulated radar for Sunday. Now, here's going to be your shear when it's at about its peak, and you can see anywhere in the greens, that's where we have 1,000 plus, and in the yellows and reds, we definitely have plenty. This is going to be approximately, well, it's going to be a little bit earlier in the evening, probably about 5 p.m. when the Cape is probably at its peak. We're going to see those storms first develop in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi, and then they're going to move into Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. So we're going to see most of that development happen on the very western side of that. So that's why it's important that we have about 2,000 to 3,000 Cape over in Louisiana, because that's the beginning of our storms. They could be quite long-lived because we have plenty of shear to the east of it as well. Here's your simulated radar. We're going to start things out, and this is approximately at about 2 p.m. on Sunday, and you can see that, again, most of those thunderstorms are going to be located in Louisiana and then in through Mississippi. It's as we head towards about 2 a.m. Again, our shear is mostly going to be located in Alabama and Georgia by about 2 a.m., and also that's where most of our thunderstorms are going to be located as well. We're going to have a line of thunderstorms moving through the panhandle of Florida and up through the Alabama-Georgia border right there. Could be in the form of supercells and also could include some tornadoes once again. So we're about to move on towards our third day of our severe weather outbreak, and that's going to be for Monday, and that's going to include the Mid-Atlantic here. So areas that are very unique to see severe weather this early on in the year could be seeing the potential for severe weather. So we're about to move on and take a look at that. All right, now this is too far in advance for the Storm Prediction Center to have a map for our risks here, but I have been eyeballing the chance for severe weather up into the Mid-Atlantic, especially the Carolinas, but also up into Virginia and potentially Maryland, Delaware, and DC. Now, this is kind of far out, obviously. This is, I think, almost a week out already. So definitely take it with a grain of salt, but I am eyeballing the potential for severe weather for these areas. So let's go ahead and first off, take a look at some of those winds, and these are going to be heading in mostly a northerly direction for the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic. We are going to have a cool down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where it's going to be quite cold for a lot of these regions actually on those days. But these very strong winds are going to help pull up the warmth and the humidity. You'll see that in a second when we take a look at our temperatures and our dew point. But these winds are really going to help quickly warm things up on Monday, and I think that we could have a lot of severe weather for these regions heading into Monday afternoon and evening. We're going to take a look at all of that. These winds are in the 20s to 30 knot winds. These are going to be extremely strong winds, and we're also going to have severe weather with this. Look offshore, guys. The coastal regions here, that's in the reds. That's 30 to 45 knot winds. Those yellows indicating areas of 45 to 50 knot winds. Very, very strong winds, guys. This is going to really help warm things up and also might just cause damaging wind before the thunderstorms even come. So let's go ahead and briefly take a look at those actual temperatures here for Monday. And this is going to be the high temperatures. And this is according to the European model. This whole video has been the European model, which is the best model pretty much. In the reds, we have 70s plus, so we're definitely going to have that for all of Virginia with the exception of the mountainous regions. Carolinas and North Carolina and South Carolina for sure. And then even up through portions of Maryland, D.C., and up into Pennsylvania as well. Upper 60s for Delaware, so really it's going to be warm enough for severe weather development. And here's those dew points you can see, especially towards the coast. We're going to have sufficient dew points. I think the severe weather development near the coast of the Mid-Atlantic states could be quite significant if this model run pans out. Again, it's a little bit further out than our days beforehand, but really, I think that the potential is there. For Monday, we're going to be seeing 60s and 70 dew points in the blues. So anywhere from that turquoise color to the more purplish shade, we're going to have 60s and 70s dew points, which is definitely enough. So really high dew points. And here's that bulk shear, guys. This is that tornado development really needs this. and we see the reds and yellows popping up once again. Again, that's 75 to maybe even 110 knot bulk shear. That's definitely going to create the potential for tornado development all the way through South Carolina, North Carolina, and even up into Virginia and possibly DC, Maryland, and Delaware, with those purples and reds definitely being sufficient for tornado development. Let's go ahead and look at that CAPE once again, which stands for convective available potential energy. We're going to have plenty. The greens is 1,000 plus, and the yellows is 1,800 plus. So we can see greens and yellows along the mid-Atlantic coast. And then here's that simulated radar. We're going to start things out in the morning. This is at about 8 a.m. You can see those severe thunderstorms coming into these states that we've been talking about. And then by the time we reach about 2 p.m., they're actually already reaching the coast, digging into a lot of that CAPE and the dew points. Obviously, the simulated radar might look a lot different than this because this is pretty far out, but we are seeing those reds and oranges all the way up through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, the Delmarva, down through Virginia, and even down into North Carolina as well. So definitely could be a big severe weather day for the Mid-Atlantic on Monday. Now for today's comment of the day, again, I asked you guys, is a well-done steak acceptable? And Michael Lambert said, as a chef, a well-done steak is one of the ultimate sins of the culinary industry. Medium rare is the best way to cook a steak. I couldn't agree anymore. I don't think I'm not really against a well-done steak, but for me, I personally am if it was my steak that I'm eating. But if you want to eat one like that, I guess it's up to you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.